Life's a real trip. It is fascinating. And what's hilarious is that, like, the more you learn, the more you study, maybe really the way to say it, the more you adopt a discipline that takes you into the place of, kind of know thyself, takes you in that direction, whether it's Jewish or Hindu or whatever it is. If it's a meditative type discipline that takes you in that direction, things get real interesting. You become so much more observant without even realizing it. Like, I was talking to one of my kids the other day, and she's like, kind of 2 years into nursing program, on the way to getting a degree in nursing, and then she can, be a legit nurse and go in whatever direction she wants to go. But she's having second thoughts, third thoughts, fourth thoughts, and thinking, this isn't for me, like, for various reasons. Like, people are so ungrateful. No one respects healthcare workers. Blah, blah, blah. The structure of the system, you're nowhere near any kind of autonomy. You're not calling any shots. You're following orders. It's like kind of like being in the military. And for a kind of entrepreneurial spirited person, that's got to be hell. And she did say that she's, lately she almost wants to cry when she has to go to work. She's rethinking everything. And one of the things she said she thinks would be interesting and fun is being a home inspector. I mean, talk about, these are worlds apart. But I said, being in the construction field most of my life, I don't think you want to do that. You're the creative type, and everyone hates home inspectors. And, you'd be in a world of, dudes and, crassness and stuff. Like, I mean, construction sites are not, typically conducive to, respectful behavior towards women, you could say. Anyway, we were just talking about all these things, her options. And literally the next day at work, I take a phone call. It happens to be this lady. And so we have some back and forth. I gathering information about what she needs to order, and I'm taking it down, and then I need her email address so I can send her a quote. And she gives me her email address, and in her email address is the word home inspector. And I said, does this mean you're a home inspector? And she said, yep, I am. I'm the only female home inspector in this city, and it's a good sized city. And I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, that's amazing. I said, just last night I'm going for a walk with my daughter who's rethinking her whole nursing trajectory here, and she literally said she thinks something that would be fun to do would be being a home inspector. And the lady said back to me, you got to be kidding me. I was a nurse for 11 years. Good for your daughter figuring it out before she's 10 years into this thing. And the whole thing ended up like, give her my number. She can shadow me. I can show her what it's about and stuff. Like, it's uncanny. And I mean, I say that, once you've kind of gone a couple steps into some kind of a discipline, you start to get more introspective and you start to become more observant. You notice things more. I think things like this happen to me all the time, frankly. And it seems like when I catch myself telling like friends or whatever about, you won't believe. I mean, I almost think they think that I'm making some of these things up sometimes because they're too uncanny. Here's another one. One day I'm in a Guitar Center. I got my son with me. He's a little kid. Let's say he's like 8 years old at the time or something. And he's rolfing around in the piano room and the organ room, the keyboard area, playing around on those things. And I'm letting him have his time. And while he's doing that, not wanting to like go off in some other room, I kind of hang close. And I'm just browsing. I'm just looking at pictures that are on the wall. Pictures of musicians, obviously music-related things. I come to this picture of Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers wearing some stupid Hawaiian shirt, playing outdoors, standing behind his cheesy 80s electric keyboard, full gray beard, combed salt and pepper hair, and I'm just thinking, I'm sitting there looking at this and thinking, I hate him. Like, I hate his music, I hate his voice, and I hate his whole vibe. I've never liked it. Just cheese dog and boring and cringy or something. And as I'm thinking all these things, I turn and there's another customer standing, kind of looking at me, looking at that, and he's just kind of hands in his pockets, kind of shuffling through, and he's got a foreign accent, and as soon as I turn away from the picture, he says, "He's you?" And I said, "Huh?" And he said, "The picture, that's you?" And I realized, oh, I've got a salt and pepper beard, I've got salt and pepper hair, and I'm wearing like a button-up shirt, and I could instantly see how he could make that connection. And I just, like, in another time, like, I might have been offended or something like that, but instead I like instantly kind of chuckled to myself. I mean, I said no and kind of started laughing, and I thought, touche, God, or universe, whatever you want. I got the message received. Why are you being a judgmental asshole? Like, why are you just looking, seething hatred at this picture of a guy who's, he's probably a millionaire. He's had his success. He's got his fans. He's playing a live show, and he's got people that love him. And I fancy myself, a amateur musician, songwriter, whatever. I do it for fun. It's therapeutic. Sue me. Like, I had an aunt who would like do color by number paintings because she liked to do it. Who cares? You can do whatever you want. That's how I look at making music at home. Like, after working all day and I'm in my basement, I'm just like, I'm painting. You can paint if you want. You can make some songs. It's no big deal. But there I was, hating on someone who was much more successful, and I didn't think I was jealous. I still don't think that. I was just thinking how, like, I don't like him. I don't like his music. He's probably a great human being, but I do not like his songs or his vibe, like I said. Anyway, I just wonder if these things happen to everyone. I'm convinced that these things happen to everyone, and it's just whether or not you're tuned in, you're paying attention. It's like in Genesis somewhere, God says to Adam, "Adam, where are you?" And I always think that's so interesting because obviously, God knows everything, as the definition of God goes. So that's a question for Adam or you or for me. Like, where are we at any given time? Where are we on this spectrum of, immersed in materiality, pointlessness, hedonism, you name it? Versus, maybe the other end of the spectrum might be like a spiritual mindset, a peaceful state of mind, a live and let live, just whatever. Where are you? And clearly, that's how I took that. That's how I took that. Oh, but this one takes the cake. Imagine the absolute depraved sense of self-esteem, just bottom of the barrel, thinking you're the biggest piece of shit on the planet. You'd have to be for this to take place in your life. Taking on a relationship with someone who already has kids, bad idea, probably a real bad idea. Now, at the time, I was coming out of Christianity, Catholicism to be specific, for the first time ever. Really asked some questions of a priest, and they couldn't be answered. Asked another priest, very unsatisfactory answers, and so the whole thing kind of started to crumble. That's a different story. That'd be a good one to talk about, though. But right now, we're talking about insane synchronicities. So, anyway, fast forward. Late 20s, not a lot of girlfriends, but, enough to, like, not be a virgin or anything. But still, no successful, serious relationships. Starting to wonder, going to be single, all your life, or what are you doing, End up getting in a relationship with someone who had 2 kids from 2 different dads, and those dads were different races, so like the kids didn't even look anything near alike. So it's just obvious to the whole world. All kinds of reasons not to not to take this relationship to any kind of serious level. But no, let's just marry her and like have a Jesus complex and save the world, save the kids. They'll worship you, you know, when you save them, when you save her. It's so delusional, so ridiculous, and so pathetic. And like, but when you don't, like I said, when you don't know things, you don't know them. You don't know that you have like actual hate for yourself. You just know your life's kind of fucked up, and you haven't figured it out yet. So you take something that's not good for you on like that. Absolutely embarrassing. But you give it your all. You try as hard as you can. And guess what? It fails. Because not only do you have a track record, she has a track record. And so guess what happened? That's right. You were just one in a long line of others. And she got, you know, a good chunk of years out of you to help raise those kids. And it's just, you know, live and learn. Some people are less idiotic, and so it is what it is. Call it what it is. Own it. So we're fast forwarded now. The marriage has crumbled, and absolute free fall panic is happening. You know, the ego has been just obliterated, but it's in the process. You know, it's like it's in the process of being just severed and minced up into like a garlic press, and it's just agonizing because now you have no control. All your control's gone. You thought you got to be a controlling asshole stepdad. You know, forget it. It's over. So you have all of that mess to go through. Well, in that panic, it's probably a natural thing to just be grasping for any kind of floating device to try to stay afloat. And so what I did was go back to my initial like infatuation, fascination, which was Torah Judaism at the time, and had, you know, gotten really involved through Chabad, and wanted to convert. Didn't want to be a Noahide. That seemed, you know, that just seemed like I don't know, like always being on the practice team or something. I don't know what a good analogy there. But there was no way. In that marriage, there was no way that conversion was ever going to happen. So, in the free fall panic and insanity, the abyss of, you know, the marriage crumbling and everything, I decided, you know, I'm getting back into that. Nothing's going to stop me. And maybe I'll even convert this time. And I started moving full steam ahead, looking at my options, you know, for Orthodox conversion, and like, you know, it wasn't really possible where I lived, so it'd be a little bit longer term plan of having to relocate and move and stuff. But in that time, in that flurry of newfound passion for purpose and meaning, you know, anything, just give me something so I can have some purpose and meaning, because it was all gone. Met another female in an I Support Israel room on some social media place, and she's from another country where people are brown, just like the ex-wife was also brown. And next thing I know, things are just snowballing fast with the new girl. Fly her in from the other country to come visit and meet and stay, and already talking about maybe getting married. Already go to see the rabbi. Already all these fast, insane things. The rabbi looked at me like I was nuts. Like, he was literally said at one point, "Do you know who this is? Do you know her?" I mean, insane. Well, here's the whole point of all of this. She also had 2 kids from 2 different dads, and one of them even had the same name as one of the other kids from the marriage that failed. And of course I thought, well, that's weird. But it wasn't until one of the nights when I was rewatching the movie Pi, and she got grossed out and wanted to go to bed, and threw a big fit when I said, I think I'm going to finish the movie. I think I'm going to drink some more wine and finish the movie. And she threw a fit and tried to put her foot down, and I thought, holy shit, what the fuck does she think she's doing? She's in my house, throwing a fit in my house, telling me I'm drinking too much wine. I don't even think that was the issue, actually. Telling me that she can't believe that I'm going to stay up by myself and finish watching the movie when she wants to go to bed. And I thought, this all happened way too fast, and all the synchronicities all hit me all at once, right between the eyes. The kids, the different dads. Again, imagine how lost you have to be mentally. Imagine the lack of grasp on who you are you would have to allow yourself to get in two terrible situations like this, that similar. And that's what I'm saying. I think things just go around in circles until you get it right, or at least learn from it and spiral up instead of just going around in a circle. At least you spiral up. I think that image, that type of analogy, maybe is in Siddhartha. I'm not sure, really where that originates. At one point, I remember thinking that was mine, because it's true. Like, you just keep going around and noticing similarities. Similar people in your life, similar things in your life, until you realize, oh, I can break this stupid, idiotic pattern. I'm doing it to myself. And then you just went up a rung. You're still going to loop around, but things are going to look different now, because now you're up there looking down at it like, oh yeah, I remember those stupid decisions down there. Well, I'm just going to circle right on past them now and learn new lessons. That's probably one of the best ones that I could point to, of like, I didn't deliberately set out to bring those two insane scenarios on myself. They presented themselves and I walked into it. Like, I just walked into it like blind, and deaf, dumb, and blind. Just a complete moron. Like, I don't know, I guess life just happens to me. I don't really know what to do. Okay, I'll come over there. Okay, let's get married. I'll raise these kids. Like, so spineless. So pathetic and spineless. But I'm a big fan of better late than never. Better later than never, whatever. Better late than never. At least you learn something before you die. I think that's what it's all about. I mean, everything else just is born to grow. Why aren't we born to grow? Like, in more than just physical. Mental, spiritually. I think the more a person goes inside and looks at the difficult, embarrassing, hard, terrible things that are a part of their life, and actually deals with them, looks straight at them, accepts the reality of what you've done, what you've allowed yourself to become, what you've allowed yourself to get involved with, and realize, man, you have made some real idiotic decisions, but no one's perfect, and you don't have to continue in this way. You can get some enlightenment from this. Everyone's on their own path, going at their own speed, at their own rate, and learning things in their own time. Everyone grows at their own pace. But everyone does grow, I'm convinced. If you don't, you have no choice. Eventually you will. I mean, how many times are you going to put your hand on a hot oven, even if you're stubborn? Eventually you'll stop. Just ask my son. Oh, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. Poor son of a bitch. Be a good person.